There is no worse feeling than putting your all into something for years, seeing other people surpass you, and having nothing to show for it. Like that, let's say, like that DBDR guy or the other YouTuber, Dark Reality, these guys that complain about life and, say how it's over for them and blah, blah, blah. But you know what they have that we don't, or that I don't? A successful content creation career, potential, a future, people who listen to them, thousands of people who consistently watch their content and love it, and that care about what they have to say. I don't have shit. Like, how can they sit there and complain about how much their lives suck when they have something that I could only dream of? Those guys. If you actually are able to get a YouTube channel or a TikTok page to grow, you're lucky. You're not smart. You're not talented. You're at all successful in life. All you are is lucky. Because hard work, being smart, knowing what you're doing doesn't mean jack shit. And if you think otherwise, you're f***ing delusional. I don't have it in me anymore, guys. I can't take the failure for much longer. My soul is dying. I'm crushed. I'm a husk of a person. If hard work mattered, I'd be a millionaire by now. If talent mattered, I'd be famous. But all that really matters is luck, and I'm fresh out of that. First, I want you to know what I gave up and what I sacrificed to get to where I am today. I'm going to be 29 in a few months. I did not spend my 20s partying and hanging out with friends and dating. I sacrificed everything. I gave up friends, rest, free time, relationships, all chasing some kind of purpose. Ever since I was a teenager, I've been intensely goal-driven. I've had lofty dreams, all to do things to make the world a better place. And I decided to quit drinking, and I decided to buckle down, work really hard in school, spend all my free time studying, getting a really good job, putting 200% into it, and then spending the COVID lockdowns working my ass off to build my own business so that I could gain the experience and capital needed to take the next step to my next business venture, the one that I really wanted to do. I worked like a dog because my whole life I was told by my boomer grandparents, who I grew up with, that all I needed to do was work hard and have dedication and integrity, and that I would achieve anything that I wanted to in life. What a joke. Yeah, maybe in the 1990s or the 60s or 50s that was true, but not anymore. The American dream is dead. It's who you are. It's who you know. It's who your family knows. It's what you look like. It's how tall you are. It's what situation you were born into that eventually determines your position in society. But it's not just that. There are outliers out there, and I hope that I could be one of them. And it is possible. But what it requires is luck. You have to be in the right place at the right time. And you can try. But if none of the stars line up for you, you're never going to make it. I worked like someone who believed that the system would eventually reward effort. I remember in my bright-eyed naivety all the times when I thought this would be the moment. This would be the launch. This would be the post. This would be the breakthrough. 6 long years since graduating college. I had the Grindset. I had the mindset. Pounding the pavement, putting my nose to the grindstone, sacrificing all my free time, pushing it all off so that I could eventually reach a point in my life that I could be proud of. There was a time when I did have luck, and it made me feel like I was on the right path in my life and that God was on my side and God was going to open the right doors and take me to the places that I needed to be to achieve the things that would make the world a better place, not for the sake of mansions and fancy cars, but for the sake of the betterment of mankind of future generations. Ever since I was a teenager, I wanted to start a business of industrial hemp to help replace the petroleum-based society that we've come to be reliant on. But I realized it took a lot of money. I realized that my family didn't have the connections and money to make it happen. So I thought, how do I do this? I joined the cannabis industry, the growing, burgeoning cannabis industry of 2019. I graduated college and I applied to so many positions, but then one day when I was drunkenly in a bar at a small town nearby, a guy just happened to overhear me, and he just happened to be the president of the company I had just applied to. And he liked the fact that I was a local and that I was going to the bar that he was at. And then that week I started my job and I was so happy. And it lasted about a year and a half, but it turned into a very toxic work environment. A point where I was putting my all into everything and people were intimidated by my youthful energy. And they went above and beyond to complain about me, make me look bad, make me into a scapegoat, and just disregard all of my contributions and work to the point where once we started working from home in the lockdowns, I eventually decided to quiet quit. Why should somebody waste their youthful energy and work themselves to the point of burnout just to be used and exploited and not appreciated? So I said, okay, God, that wasn't the right path, but you took me that direction so that I could learn what I needed to learn to start my own business. And now that I'm working from home, I took all that extra time. And what did I do? I started my own business and I toiled on it for years. And I thought this is going to be my big break. Not only had I built the business, but I had built up my LinkedIn account into like a micro influencer level. And I expected that all the work I had put into the LinkedIn account would benefit me when I launched my business. And I remember the day in 2021 when I posted my launch of my website to my LinkedIn page. I got like 100 likes and I was like, all right, this post is doing well. When are the orders going to come in? They didn't. So I decided to start a YouTube channel. I started writing a blog. I started doing email marketing. I started doing Facebook marketing. And I remember that same year was when I got laid off my position, COVID layoffs. I was actually happy because I was going to be able to spend all my time diving into my work and my business. I went to all these different little shops to give them samples and talk about my brand. And what happened? I got in maybe one or two, and the rest treated me like shit. They sold my samples, they lied to me, they strung me along, and wasted my time. After that, I decided, okay, I'll mainly focus on the online stuff. I made multiple YouTube channels, Instagram pages, TikToks, and every last one of them I put my all into, and they all failed. Not for incompetence, not for lack of effort. And I spent hundreds of hours researching the best ways to do everything. The reality is, you can have all that knowledge and information at your hands and use it and still fail. Because the truth is, it seems like all the failure I've experienced over the last 5 or 6 years has all been down to bad luck, bad timing, and things outside of my control. Even everyday, daily situations, from parking spots to traffic lights, every little thing and big thing is working together, conspiring against me. All of society, the powers that be, God, the universe, all working together to make sure that I do not succeed. So what was it most recently that made me come to this realization and decide to make this video about how success has nothing to do with merit? Well, there are two big things that made me snap. The first of which being TikTok. I have spent hundreds of hours over the last 3 months building this TikTok page, only for the last month's worth of videos to show a downward trend of less and less and less views. And I'm having to censor every word. I'm having to censor chemicals, agenda, elites, precocious puberty, anything having to do with that whole theory that is basically the reason I made my TikTok and my YouTube channel. And even with censoring all of that, it's still not enough. And every day I see other people with no original ideas that barely try, who just started, who are 10 years younger than me, who don't know anything. They don't have a fraction of the knowledge or experience I do. They're just walking right into things and succeeding from the start. 2 weeks in, they've got 5,000 followers and they're getting 400,000 views on every video. And I complain about it, and they have the nerve to try and give me shitty advice when they're sitting there putting hashtag FYP on their post. And I'm just thinking, dude, how dare you try to give me advice like you know what you're talking about? I should be giving you advice. Only reason you succeeded is not because of hashtag FYP. It's despite it. And it's despite your ignorance. You got lucky. And you got all these doomer pill YouTubers talking about how much their lives suck, how much is over for them. Yet, they have something that the rest of us don't have. They've got an audience who hangs on their every word, hundreds of thousands of views and people that watch them and support them. The potential to be famous, to not have to work a 9-to-5 job. If they ever start a business, it's going to take right off because they've got all kinds of potential buyers right there. Whereas I start a business and no one gives a flying fuck because no one knows who the hell I am. I sit here and listen to them complain about their lives, and all I can think of is, you think you have it bad? You, my friend, are lucky. You're luckier than the rest of us, And honestly, just kind of feels like they're frauds. I had to stop watching Tragic Reality recently because I couldn't take it anymore. He said that his third video got 10,000 views and his channel took off from there, and that's how he got to the place he is now. I have made 14 videos. My first 3 videos got like 2 views in the first week. And to think this guy hates his life so much when he was lucky enough to get 10,000 views on his third video. I've watched his videos. They're very low effort. He got lucky, and that's the fact. So if you're not born into privilege, you have to get lucky. And the faster you get lucky, the better. Because the more you work and the longer you work and you waste your entire 20s slaving away, you're going to burn out. And you're going to be watching people 10 years younger than you having their big break. And you thinking, why isn't that me? I'm wondering if it will ever happen. And it may never happen. For every entrepreneur and social media star that gets their big break, there are 100 guys like us who have no success whatsoever, who pour our heart and soul into it, only to watch people who barely try and still win. And they get to enjoy their lives for a lot longer time than we do. Don't try and sit there and cope by saying, oh, well,
if you had to work harder to get it, it feels all the better.
Don't give me that crap. I could die in 10 years of cancer. If I had got lucky 10 years before, I would have had 20 years of a good life to live. Who's to say there'll even be anything to spend your money on, or there'll even be a functioning internet in 10 or 15 years? You can see the example from me, what years of hard work will do to a person. Bitterness, resentment towards people that are younger and successful, exhaustion, losing hope, feeling cursed, wondering if maybe you just weren't meant to win. There's nothing worse than seeing people much younger than you succeed effortlessly while you sit there drowning in despair and self-doubt. Burnout doesn't just come from working hard. It comes from working hard for a long period of time and never getting anywhere. That's what breaks people. But this isn't just about me. I'm saying this in case any of you out there feel the same way. I'm not here to motivate. I'm here to validate. The system failed me. And maybe some of you watching feel that it's failed you too. No one wants to admit it, but hard work does not pay off for everyone. And neither does smart work. All that matters is luck. And all those people that push that grind till you make it mindset, they're grifters who got lucky, trying to sell a lie to the desperate, exploiting your vain hope to enrich themselves. As much as I want to quit, I'm probably going to keep making videos, at least on YouTube, because there are things that I still need to say before it's over. I'm just done pretending the game of life is fair. The game is rigged, and I'm just calling it out. So if you've ever worked your ass off and achieved nothing, welcome to the club. Let me know in the comments if life ever made you feel like this. And I know probably nobody cares, but I made a video last week about geomaxing, being a passport bro, and why I would never do it, and why it has so many downsides and isn't all it's cracked up to be anymore.